Hey, 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 what are we doing in the garden today? It's your boy, your favorite farmer, Farmer Fredo, Executive Director for Flint River Fresh. And so today, we're at the beginning of a new year. So a lot of individuals are probably getting that itch about what am I going to plant for my spring garden, how am I going to impress my friends and neighbors, or what can I grow in abundance of to feed people in your community. And so one thing that we do for a lot of our projects at Flint River Fresh is that we teach people how to sow their own seeds or to start their own seeds or start their own transplants or seedlings, or like I like to tell the young kids, we're going to show you how to grow some baby plants. So in order for that to get started, there's just a couple things that you need to have in order to be successful with growing your own baby plants. So first, you need some sort of container. When we're doing stuff with the kids, we like to use like these, what we call 6-packs, and we fill them up with like your soil, things like that. But if you're at home, you don't have like a 6-pack to use, you can use like a red cup or old yogurt container, just pop some holes in it. Or you could use like the container that your rotisserie chicken comes in, clean it out, just use that to start your seeds, because it's all about just getting them started. One of the reasons why we encourage getting started is that it allows for you as a grower to have a lot of varieties, a lot of different options. I know you can go to the box store and get the pre-made transplants, but you'll be amazed at the varieties of seeds and plants that you can grow. And trust me, nothing impresses your friends even more than them coming into your backyard and seeing you growing a purple broccoli, or growing some yellow green beans, or better yet, growing an orange flavored like tomato. So it's a way for you to kind of show off your green thumb, but also to kind of introduce to your community just some more tasty food options. So you have your container. Once you have your container, the second thing that you need is a soil. And what I recommend is that you go look for a seed starting mix. Don't get the potting soil. You want a seed starting mix, which is tend to be based more in peat moss and perlite. And basically what the peat moss does helps with water retention. And the perlite, these little white rocks, are there just to help with like roots and aeration of your soil. So once you have that container, soil, you need some sort of light source. Yeah, we're blessed by Mother Nature to have the sun, but sometimes you're trying to grow things indoors because of the environment. It might be raining, you have more control. So you can get yourself like a light setup like this, a grow light system, or you can utilize like LED sort of shop lights. And again, this is just so that the plant gives energy so it can bust open out of its shell, strive upward towards the grow and push out, and at the same time pushing down its roots. So once you have that, just a couple things that are like add-ons. These three are your core. These other things I'm gonna talk about are just some more add-ons so you'll be more successful. So number one, a heat mat. I like to use the heat mat especially for like our warm season crops. So if you know you're gonna grow peppers, tomatoes, watermelons, things like that you know that grows like in warm climate, utilize the heat mat. And what the heat mat does just heats the soil. But you'll get something known as a thermostat, one of these tools, to put into the soil to help regulate it. Most of our seeds germinate at about 70 degrees, 75, in that range. So you can use this thermostat just to up the heat mat and making sure that your soil is warm enough for it to germinate and produce results. Other thing I encourage people to get is just a basic sort of timer. When it comes to like the light and what the plants need, it's just a ratio of 16 hours of sunlight versus 8 hours of darkness. It's just like us following nature's normal cycle, and use this timer to make sure that this happens for you. So you can regulate the time, make sure that the light comes on early in the morning, that it shuts off automatically, making things automatic. But then the last thing that I encourage people to have is a fertilizer. As your plant starts to grow, it's important because of the soil mixture that you're using, that you give it some sort of fertility. And this is just a basic fertilizer that you can get at most like box stores, but even where you're at, you might find fish emulsion, or you might find like an organic liquid fertilizer to use, but that's just to help the plant develop its root structure, so when it's time for you to pull it out the trays, it has a strong enough root, strong enough stem, and it's ready for you to introduce it into the environment. And the last piece, with all that said and done, please make sure you have access to water. H2O. Main thing again, with your plants, when they're in these containers, you're gonna pretty much water them every day. And you wanna just test your soil, make sure that it never dries out. because if it dries out, it will stunt the growth of your plant, and you will lose all the effort and energy you put into growing it. And so you're mainly just testing the soil, making sure that it stays damp, and having an axe source for water. And those are just some of the basic components for starting your seeds. So with all that being said, I know you watch this video, you're like, that's good, Fredo, but how does all this stuff come together? So I'm just going to show you really quickly what we do as it relates to starting seeds in one of our 6-pack sorter containers. So again, this is something that you can do at home. Great activity to do with young kids, school gardens, community gardens, church groups, you name it. So you have your container. Next thing you do, spread the soil into the container. And what you want to do here is kind of just make sure you fill it up to the top level, and just kind of just level it off. And as you kind of see as I'm laying, it is real loose, it's real fine. I try my best. Sometimes there are clumps in here, so you want to just make sure that you take the clumps out, because you want to make sure that the roots don't have anything that'll stop it from penetrating. And what I like to do for my seed trays is that I always try to put seeds that have similar traits together in one tray. And the reason being is that you don't want to have your peppers and your lettuce growing together, because they have different growing habits, different soil heat qualities and things like that. So I always try to put stuff that have similar growing patterns, similar harvesting dates, things like that, all in the same area. So you just kind of get this going nice and smooth. I love doing it on these screen tables because my extra soil and stuff, I can just drop it to the ground. And that's it. So then once you kind of get that in, the next thing I like to do is I also like to put them, if you're at home, this is like a catch tray. So it doesn't have any holes in it, so you don't have to worry about watering and the water dropping onto your floor and things like this. So just a way for you to be able to water at home without worrying about your plants, your floor getting wet underneath. So again, it's just like your basic watering. And I just do this enough just to moisten up the soil mixture before I plant. And it also helps with the next phase that we do. So once we get this in place, what I like to spread stuff out evenly is that we make little dibbles or little holes for the plants that we're going to grow. So today we're just going to do, for the sake of the video, we're just going to do some lettuce. And people oftentimes ask, Farmer Fredo, how deep should I plant my seeds? Well, the rule of thumb is that you want to plant them double the depth of the seed. So interesting about these lettuce seeds, we have them pelletized. So we just put a little clay coating around the seeds that makes it easier for you to handle. And so if you think about some seeds that are very, very small, but by having them pelletized like this, they're easy for you to handle, and it's easy for you to put one of these seeds per location. And that's just one of the things I like to do. So you just kind of just go around, just making indentions into the space. Bam, bam, bam. It gets kind of sticky and things like that, but just basically just doing enough so it's in the center of the square, and you're just doing it so you have a location where you're gonna just drop your seeds in. And like I said today, we're just gonna turn this into our little salad bar container. And kids love it because it's just basically they're poking, sticking their fingers in mud. So then per square, one seed. And if you're at home and you're gonna do multiple different varieties of seeds, you can easily take some popsicle sticks or a spoon. And the main thing that you wanna do is just identify what you have planted in each of the squares. So that way when they start to come up, you'll be able to know the difference. Because in the early stages of some crops that are in the same family, like collards, kale, and cabbage, as baby plants, they all look the same until they're about ready to start harvesting. So once you kind of get your seeds and stuff planted, the thing that I like to do next is just take it again, just some more topsoil, some more of our seed starter mix. Just sprinkle it over the top. Again, this is just an easy way to kind of cover them up once you've like planted the seeds. Then you want to make sure you give it a good watering. And like I said, if you're at home, you can use like a watering can. Again, you're gonna just water every day. I like to water my plants like first thing in the morning, and then just kind of check to make sure that it stays moist and that your seeds and stuff never dry out. And then one thing I like to do is put on, after we have them planted with the water, the kicker piece is put on like a humidity dome that's over top until you see those very first baby plants tend to grow up out the ground. And that's just to kind of create more like humidity with the moisture, with the heat, that it really just helps like the soil to connect, the seed to connect to the soil, the shell for it to bust open. And once that plant thrives and comes out of its shell, I remove this dome out the way. And then I just kind of strictly make sure that I give it light, and we're ready to go. So again, this is just some basics of like starting seeds. If you like this video, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, like on your Facebook page, or you can also follow us like on social media. Again, I'm Farmer Fredo, Executive Director for Flint River Fresh. I'm checking in, I'm checking out, and growing food is what I'm about. Peace.